Hello, Eurofans. It's Kittens here at that Eurovision site. Hello, hello. And I'm here with the stunning, lovely, beautiful, amazing Gina Jones, and we're gonna talk about UMK. Say hi, Gina.
Hello. I don't know about the stunning part. There's no makeup on today, but I'm here.
You're
The
stunning
kids are in bed.
always. You're always stunning, babe. We're going to talk about UMK from two perspectives here because I was sitting at home, watching at home on my PC, and Gina was in the arena. And you got to go to Tampere and do the whole experience, didn't you? And
Yeah,
this was your first national final experience as well, right?
it was. Yeah, never been to a national final. Absolutely loved it.
Loved it. I mean, it's got to have been you've obviously watched UMK for several years before. What did it feel like, going from watching it at home to watching it in the arena?
It was absolutely incredible. The level of professionalism, the level of, artistry and creativity that went into it. It was a real, I mean, having watched quite a few of these now on TV, this one really felt like a masterclass in how it's done. It was, really original, really creative. There was a good variety of music on offer. So all in all, I'd say it was a really positive experience, and it's really given me the national final bug. I now want to do them all.
You're gonna be so busy come next season. You're gonna be like,
Yeah, I would love to do Melfest. I think that's got to be top of the list. But yeah, I'd do any and every national final I can get to now, having seen this.
and would you go back to UMK or would you like leave it a few years and maybe go
Oh,
back?
100%. I would definitely want to go back to UMK. It was just such a fantastic experience. And we also got to, because Tampere, they're really putting in a big bid to become a Eurovision host city. They think they've got a great chance of winning Eurovision this year. And so they really pulled out the red carpet for us, and we got to try all kinds of authentic Finnish experiences. We tried the sauna. We went all around the city. There was all the restaurants we tried. We went to the Moomin Museum, which was
Yeah.
incredible. But we had such a short time there that I didn't get to do it all. So 100% I would go back and do UMK again, not just for the music and for the fabulous show, but also to experience the city again. Assuming it's in Tampere, it might be somewhere else next time. But Finland is a beautiful country, and I'd love to see more.
Yeah. Lovely. Should we talk about some songs?
Yes, let's.
Let's. So, did you listen to the songs before you went? And if you did, which were the ones that you. And we'll talk about the winner in a moment, but which were the ones that kind of stood out to you before you went?
I did. I made a few TikToks. I just got TikTok. I'm old. I'm ancient. I'm a dinosaur. I've only just got a TikTok. Euro Mama, I've called it. Like Euro Papa, except I'm a mama. But yeah, I've been making a few TikToks before I headed out there, just looking at the different songs that were out there. My favorite go leading up to the competition was Takatuka. Antti Palanen, I just thought was fantastic. It was so original. I liked the folky elements. I loved the throat singing. I'd never heard anything like that, in this sort of context before. So I thought that was great. So for me, that was a real standout one before we even got there. I also really loved the story behind Etta's $1 million smile. Obviously, she
Such
wrote
a
the
sweet
song.
story.
Such a lovely story. So she was diagnosed with alopecia age 10, and her $1 million smile was all about the confidence that her mum gave her, and all of that relationship that she has with her mum. And I just thought it was a really lovely story. So that one really moved me as well beforehand.
Yeah, I think we had some really good storytelling in a lot of these songs. Even the ones which were silly stories, even for example, Cherry Cake, which I thought was going to be a disaster. And I'm not gonna lie, I had massively underestimated this because I was like, I love this and I think it's gonna be awful. And it
I
wasn't.
remember seeing
It
your
was
your post on Blue
magnificent.
Sky. It was fantastic. She did an ace job on stage. What presence, what crowd control. She was really interacting with the crowd. Oh, she was absolutely brilliant. And
She
Cherry
is
Cake was
like,
actually
yeah.
agree. It was a huge surprise for me too, because I kind of liked the song in a silly kind of way going in. I thought it could do with a nice bit of bass, to make it a bit cooler. Charlie XCX it up a bit if they could. That's kind of what I wanted to see. Actually, it was performed as the studio version, but it was perfect in itself, the way it was, the way it was staged, her dancing, everything. It was just a fantastic presentation of that song, and I thought she did a great job.
Yeah. I think the thing is, I think looking down the list of songs, I don't think we had one bad song. Like, we might have had songs which were less successful than others, but I don't think any of these are bad songs.
Not
Like,
at all.
I just sat there and went, actually, all of these are incredibly decent. Like, even the song which I think I ranked last, which was Sinica Monte, I really came to appreciate when it was on stage and when it was being performed, and there's something really sonically nice about the way that is
Yeah, and her vocal
vocally.
was pretty special as well. I thought she delivered it really well on the night. And I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Sergio, who did JJ's staging, was responsible for m most or all of the stagings at UMK.
That sounds
And
right, yeah.
yeah, and what he did with Seneca's staging with the glass table that she was
Yeah.
standing was absolutely incredible and really elevated that song. And she delivered it really well as well. So for me, I agree with you. That was my last place going in, but actually it did climb up having seen what she did with it live. And to be honest, any of those songs could have gone to Eurovision and people would have been proud of that. I think if that had been any other country presenting any of those songs, you'd go, wow, that's a really good presentation. I think the standard was so high that it was pretty tricky for the Finnish public and the jury to choose this time, which is a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a lovely problem to have. And I also want to mention Lululai as well, because I think this heritage, this story behind the song, and then seeing that happening in the arena with all the
It was
I've
fantastic
got
with the
nothing
hanky
to
waving.
I've got
I
no
wanted a hanky
hanky.
to wave. Here, I've got some notes. Let's wave those. Tell me the story though, because I hadn't heard the story
So
of
they were
Lululemon.
saying, sorry to anybody if I tell this wrong, but it's basically a heritage of these essentially like dance, like a bandstand kind of area that you would have in a park, and you would go and meet there and dance in the park. And you would go and do this kind of almost traditional-ish dancing. And they were like, well, we want to kind of not revive the tradition because the tradition still exists. But kind of bring it to a newer audience and bring it to essentially, going further to an international audience. And I was just like, actually, I had no idea when I was listening to this just as a song that it had all that behind it. And learning about all of that just really made it something special, especially when all the audience had theirs. I was
Oh, it
like,
was fantastic. I didn't know that story, and that's really interesting. And it really did feel like that in the arena, even though it's a massive O2 sized arena, it
mm,
felt small because of the way everyone was getting involved and there were people around you waving hankies. What's interesting as well is that we sort of had that experience in Tampere when we were there. So we were walking to the arena during the afternoon. And we had to go a bit early because we were going to the press centre, and we went past a town square in the middle of Tampere, and it was snowing, so all the snow was glistening. The previous week had been like -28. There were tons and tons of people in the snow, and there was like flashing magenta and purple, UMK colours everywhere. Anyway,
mm,
we got nearer to the centre of this town square, and there was a DJ in a little like weatherproof wooden box,
mm.
like cranking out UMK and Eurovision tunes, and people were just dancing in the snow. And there were people, they dropped their shopping, they'd obviously been shopping, they had bags, they dropped them and were just like giving it all this. There were people with dogs, there were people with pushchairs and kiddies waving stuff around, like it was a real party in the middle of the street. And it was freezing cold. And I was just like, these people are mad in the best way.
That's the way
So,
to get warm, isn't it,
yeah,
Gina?
we really did. We joined in. But yeah, now that you're saying that it like kind of comes from that tradition, I get it. Like it's a thing. I thought they delivered it well. And you know what else? I mean, hopefully I'm not going to offend anyone with this, but like, normally when there's a boy band, I wouldn't say they were a traditional boy band, but they are a band of all boys. There's like one Butters one, isn't there? But like they're all fit as.
I will
I was
leave you
like,
to comment on
whoa,
that.
they're all hunks. Like I don't know where to look. So that helped as well.
A little bit of eye candy. Nobody's
Yeah.
complaining.
And you know what? They were lovely as well. They like all the artists. I think they were like among the first to perform, and so we were right next to the green room. And all the artists, as they came in, the guys from Comiat were like high-fiving them and like, yeah, hyping all the other artists. And
Big
they were just
energy.
really,
Yeah.
yeah, really
Big
supportive. And
supportive energy. Yeah.
they just seem like lovely guys. And yeah, and one of the things we were sort of saying is, if the UK could send something like that, it would be amazing. Like we would all lose our minds, like, for that to be the chosen one. And they didn't get chosen, which was sad. But, there were other entries there and I could see why. But yeah, like anyone would be happy to send that one.
Yeah, I think it would have been a nice moment. Like, and I think it is, again, it is something that really came alive on the cameras. I'm sure it came alive in the arenas as well, as just something very special. Just a nice moment of just happiness and
Yeah.
joy. So,
So much joy.
I think, it's been a good year and there's a lot of good variety in what UMK are presenting, and yeah, I don't think there was a bad one in the bunch. So yeah.
Do you know
Anyway,
what else was great? Is
go on.
talking of Comiat. I know we've talked about this one a lot, but I did love it. The other great part was seeing Miriana Conti and Sissal waving their
Oh,
hankies
they
in
had
the
yeah,
audience.
excellent.
They were loving it. And I thought, oh, this is amazing. We've got the Queen of Malta, the Queen of Denmark, and they're both waving a hanky for this song. How random.
It's the thing is, it's just such an easy thing to participate in as well. Like you can imagine that you don't have to know any Finnish at all. You don't have to know anything about this song. You are just like, let's
Yeah,
go.
let's go.
You know? It's just such a good audience moment, and it's just yeah, even if you don't know anything about the history or anything of it. But yeah. Anyway, we should talk about a certain winning song.
Mm.
I'm gonna try and pronounce it. Liekinheitin? Is that even
Like in
close?
hiding.
Yes, Linda Lampenius and Pete Parkkonen were the winners with that song that I can definitely pronounce, even though I keep singing along to it. Um, Firstly, what do you think? What was it like in the arena? What was your reaction?
Oh, incredible. Like I knew it was going to be a strong, dramatic song. The video gave us clues as to what they might do with it. And obviously the lyrics lend themselves to that kind of pyro approach. But I just couldn't believe it when we saw it live. It was outstanding. And I think I did actually turn around to the person I was with and say, that's the winner. That we know that's the winner. Like you just could tell immediately within the first few seconds. Um, and they were just, yeah, they were really humble about it, actually. Linda and Pete, I like to say Linda and Pete, Linda and
Linda Pate,
Petter.
yeah,
Linda and Pete, it sounds like your mates, isn't it? Oh, we're mates
yeah,
down the road, Linda and Pete, down the garage. But no, they were absolutely lovely and they were really humble about it. And, they had been the favourites going in and they knew that. Um, but I think they just worked really hard at it and they delivered a really strong show. So yeah, it was great. Exactly as we expected, but also so much more.
yeah. I mean, this was in the run up. This was definitely the one to watch, and this was the one that was steaming up the charts in Finland, and just the tension in on that stage was crazy. Like I don't know if you were getting the same because obviously there's so many moving parts to that. They were talking about um I read something this week and it may or may not be true, but something saying the Finns have sent a massive manual of all
A
the like
30 page.
camera
Yeah.
angles and where the leaf blower's gonna go and everything, and I'm like, damn, taking this seriously.
I can see
like,
why though, because actually when you saw it, I mean, what you saw on TV was like a small percentage of what was actually
mm,
happening on the stage. So, like when Linda was behind the house and Petter was in front of it, there was actually a guy lying down on the floor next to Linda to get that shot. And then there was a guy behind her having to run with her train to get her onto the chair on time. It was crazy. I mean, I think there are
yeah,
some
yeah,
clips
yeah.
circulating on
The
social so
whole
you could
thing of
get an
her
idea.
running like with the wheels and
Yeah.
wheels with the heels. That's the
With
word I'm
the
trying to
heels,
look for.
yeah.
I
It
was
was like
like,
tightly choreographed. The whole thing, it was like a ballet to watch, including the whatchamacallums, the guys, in the black t-shirts that help
the
them. What are they called, those
ninjas, I
guys?
think
The
they
ninjas.
tend
Oh
to
my
be
God.
called. Yeah,
Absolute
the
ninjas.
stage
But
hands.
it was incredible. The only thing is, how are they going to dismantle that in 40 seconds? Because it's quite big, isn't it? And I wonder, I did read that maybe they might make a smaller one to take with them to
I mean,
Vienna.
we've had big
Um,
staging before. Like, what comes to mind for me was is brunette staging from Liverpool, which is a
yeah,
big slope, remember? And there
yeah.
was like three guys like hidden underneath that slope because I was like right at a barrier at Liverpool. So there's three guys hidden behind that and it was on wheels. So the minute that she got off it and the song was over, there was just three guys who instantly just went and like wheeled it
What did
away.
they do?
You saw. It was so, I do, I think it's the kind of staging that they could take that with them. The thing is, it's relatively simple staging. It's it's angles and pyro is the things that make it complicated.
The
Like,
simplicity is the beauty, though, isn't it? Like
yes, of course,
it is
yeah.
it looks simple, but it's actually really complicated to pull off. Did you get a touch of the Wuthering Heights about it? You know, when he was like sat on the bench and then Linda was behind him, it was like Kathy at the window, you know?
Oh
I
yeah.
sort of
I mean,
I
I
very apt.
originally thought, and maybe I'm just wrong. I just originally thought it was a confessional. Um, and
Ah,
looked
that's
at it,
interesting.
but I don't think I'm right. I think that's just coincidence. But I looked at it and I thought, oh, this is
I can see
very,
why you thought that because of the obscured, it's not
yeah.
glass, is it? Yeah, that's really interesting. See, there's so many different things you can read into it, and that's why it's so beautiful. And every time you watch it, you can see something
Mm,
different. And I think that's what makes this one such a standout. Yeah, so it would be really interesting to see what it looks like kind of in the show in Vienna amongst all the other ones that are going, because I think there are quite a lot of fun, upbeat ones this year. So this could be a real standout. There are very few like really dramatic ones like this.
mm.
One thing I was wondering, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, is like what order are they in? Where are they in the running order? We don't know the
We
exact
we
running order yet,
don't
do
we
we?
don't know fully, but they are, she says, furiously Googling. Uh,
They're gonna have to go. I reckon they're gonna have to go like after, but they'll have to do like what they did with Loreen. Didn't they put Loreen after an ad break
yes,
because the
because
Panini
Loreen
press
took
needed time?
yeah, Loreen took three and a half minutes, I want to
Yeah.
say.
So I have a feeling
Um,
that they'll position them similarly
so
because otherwise there won't be time, will there?
because Finland are in the first half of the first
Right.
semi, so they are with Croatia, Georgia, Greece, Moldova, Portugal, and Sweden. I mean, none of those that we know of so far, because we don't know stagings fully yet, have particularly large staging pieces. We
Mm.
know they a lot of them are using screens and stuff, but obviously that could change before the contest, so we don't 100% know. But I could see them putting something like this on like quite early because of the drama, or putting it on right before a break, if
Do
you
we
know what I
think that that
mean.
could affect their scores potentially, or does that not hold water anymore?
I I am not a big believer in running order affects your score, apart from the thing is, if you have a big enough song and you have an eye grabbing, like a grabbing presentation, then I am not a big believer that the running order matters that much. I think it matters to songs that are slightly weaker, and I think it matters to songs that don't have an eye-catching presentation.
Mm.
But maybe I'm wrong. I feel like this is an instant qualifier for me because I there's nothing else like it
Same here.
at
I
this
think wherever you put
contest.
it is going to stand out, and especially given the list of other names that you've read out, it really will stand out among those because you've got that sort of very sweet Westlifey ballad from Portugal. You've got the madness that is Ferto. You've got a few bangers, but actually this really does stand out among those. So yeah, I think regardless of running order, hopefully they'll still do well.
Yeah, I feel like the only song that we've kind of got like this, and it has literally just come out, so you may not have listened to it yet, is the Czechia entry, which is
Mm.
very high drama with a big build. But I still don't know whether, that is, enough to vote steal, essentially. And that is in
Mm.
semi-final too. So we will just ignore that bit for now.
One thing
But
we can say for Czechia though is that they have been quite good at staging, haven't they? They've
they
done some
have
really good
been.
stagings over the last few years. I'm thinking of I can't remember the name of the band. They were all female, all pink dollies with the
Oh, Bessler.
long. Yes, that was a real standout. It's very simple, but I just really loved the presentation, and they've done a
They
few
have
like
been
really
really
interesting
good.
stagings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Aiko
so
was really good as well.
yes,
So,
Ico,
I
yeah.
think, they could do some magic, but I think still it's quite different from this. I
Mm.
think there is something quite the only reason I'm relating those two is the level of drama and possibly stuff like Aiden as well, where it is drama, drama, drama. Um,
Yes.
but
Aiden's a favorite in our house because that's my daughter's name. So we
yeah.
we sing that to her all the time. Bella, she's like, "Shut up,
She's
mum."
gonna be so sick of you by the time the contest comes around.
I really hope he makes the final for that reason alone.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a qualifier for sure. I would be shocked if it didn't qualify. They would have to do something big for it to not to qualify. And then in the actual final, I don't 100% know whether this can win, but I think this is going to do really, really well. What's your
See,
thoughts?
to me, I felt like after watching it live at UMK, I thought instantly, this is the winner. This is the winner of Eurovision. I'm looking at the winner. But I've been burnt this way before because you get really excited in the lead up and then you get to, the actual contest. You see the stagings that other people have brought, and suddenly songs that you didn't even think about have elevated to the point where they're a contender. The last example of this I can think of, well, there's been quite a few, but one of the big ones would be Fuego. I really didn't think any of it when they released the video. I didn't think anything of it. And then we saw her do that on the stage and oh, suddenly, wow, okay, this has got something. So you just never know. It's to do with the performer, their charisma, and also the staging, and those things coming together. And there's quite a few little surprises this year, aren't there? You've got Boy George possibly for San Marino. Well, I'm not sure how that's going to go, but that would be interesting. We've got the UK potentially bringing something outlandish. There's talk of a mini coming on stage. I don't know if that's actually going to happen
I
or
would
not,
love
but that'll
that
be
for him.
interesting
I'd
to
love
see.
that for him.
The craziest thing is it won't even be the first car on stage at Eurovision, will it?
No.
Because Voyager did that. So yeah, I mean, it's a real surprise mixed bag of a year. I mean, if you'd asked me at this point last year who's going to win, I would have just been like Kai instantly. I
Mm.
was bara bara bastu. 85% in my brain at that point was bara bara bastu. That was all I could think of. And then kind of got to the contest, saw, JJ, and it was like, okay, it's over now.
Yeah.
So,
There's still plenty of time for us to be swayed, basically, is what we're
mm,
saying. There
yeah, and
is,
I'm nearly always wrong. So,
yeah, same, same. I've been right the last few years, and I feel very weird about it. I am nearly always wrong. But yeah, I mean, so just as a wrap up, anything you want to say about UMK overall, either your experience or just the show itself, and maybe what you might hope for them for 2027?
I think UMK was incredible. I think they've got a lot up their sleeves. There were things they could have pulled out the bag this time that they didn't. So it was the 20th anniversary since Lordi's win. And we were
Yeah.
kind of expecting to see them and they didn't show up. But then I'm wondering if that's something they're keeping in their back pocket in case they win. And they end up hosting. So maybe that's something they're going to pull
Because
out
there
when they
was
win.
some controversy about that, I believe. Like
Oh, was
apparently,
there?
yeah, I don't know how true or not true this is, but apparently there was some sort of it was a little bit on the part
Okay.
of Ela, but I don't know if this is true, so we'll leave that as that. Um,
Ah, well, hopefully we see them again because they were absolutely outstanding and it would be really lovely to
you
see them
can't.
again.
There's nothing more iconic than Lordi, you know?
100%. Yeah, it would be great to see them again. I think overall with UMK, one of the key lessons that we kind of took from it was, they've really turned things around in Finland because for years after Lordi's win, in the kind of intervening years, they were in the doldrums.
Yeah.
Finland was really struggling in terms of scores and qualifications and all that. But since 2019, this new UMK format, they've really turned things around and they're now attracting the country's top talent and they've got an amazing show, and it kind of stands alone aside from Eurovision. I think it was like a
Mm.
mini Eurovision in itself, and that was fantastic to watch and just seeing that trajectory and that transformation over the last few years. It really gives hope, I think, especially to other countries. And this was one of the questions I was asking people when we were in Finland is, the UK haven't had great results over the last few years, barring the fantastic time we had with Sam Ryder. But what can we do to improve? And lots of them had really interesting perspective and advice because of that transformation that they've been through as a
Mm.
country at Eurovision. So yeah, I think that was great, and I would definitely recommend anyone to go and watch UMK just as a punter for fun, but also I think people responsible for other national finals or other selections go and watch UMK and see how
Should
it's
be
done because
learning lessons. Yeah.
yeah, they really have like come on a journey and it's yeah, it's paying off.
Yeah, I agree. Like, they have been consistent as well. That's the other thing that they have been, for the last few years, they have just been consistently putting a good thing forward, and you can kind of tell how proud they are of what they are doing. And I think that just comes through in the whole thing. Even just the small things like commentary in, I think, 9 languages. I may
Yeah,
be wrong,
fantastic.
including a lot of like sign language versions and stuff like that. There is something that they are going above and beyond to make everybody included in this story. And I just think that that's phenomenal. Like, there are few people who go out their way to do that level of things. And I just think it's paying off for them. And who knows, maybe at Tampere or somewhere else in Finland, I don't want to netta this. um
I
20
love that that's
Eurovision
now a verb, like
2027.
to netta.
Yeah. But maybe we will see maybe you'll see Finland take the crown. We never know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful. I think it's looking good for them and they've done a fantastic job.
Yeah. Well, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much, Gina, for helping us out and coming on this video. We'll drop all your links as well in the description down below. So if you want to check out Gina's blogs and profiles and everything, we'll pop all those in the details below. I've been Kittens from that Eurovision site. I've had my lovely guest, Gina. Say bye, Gina.
Bye.
And please feel free to like and subscribe and follow us on all of our social media platforms at that Eurosite and on our website at thateurovisionsite.com. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.